I've been reading Ari Paparo's excellent new book, Yield: How Google Bought, Built, and Bullied Its Way to Advertising Dominance. And this book is hitting me like a ton of bricks. As someone who came to advertising via the e-commerce world, the parallels between today's retail media chaos and the mid-2000s digital advertising landscape are kind of eerie. Back then, hundreds of individual websites sold ads directly. Media buyers had to negotiate with each publisher separately, managing countless insertion orders and somehow stitched together campaign performance across incompatible reporting systems. Sounds similar? Yes, today's retail media landscape is living through its own version of this nightmare, except now we're dealing with hundreds of retail media networks instead of publisher websites. Yet distribution of opportunity among RMNs is top-heavy, to say the least. According to eMarketer, Amazon commands 75% of US retail media spend. In second position, Walmart takes another 7%. That leaves just 16% of retail media spending in the US for the long tail of 248 other retail media networks. And when we look at actual growth within the sector, it's even more sobering. eMarketer also estimates that the rest of market RMNs are growing at 11%. So that's everyone else whose RMN doesn't start with an A and end with an N. So they're growing at 11%. And Amazon is growing at 23% year-over-year growth. So not only is Amazon capturing the lion's share of all spend, they're also growing more than twice as fast as everyone else. Let's be honest about how we got here. Management consultants swept through retail boardrooms a few years ago, promising a profit oasis in a desert of razor-thin margins. Launch a retail media network, they said. It's pure profit, they said. Brands will line up to spend. And this rationale made sense. Amazon first started breaking out eye-popping financials for its advertising business back in 2021. Surely that pie is large enough for a few more. What the consultants didn't mention was the catch-22 awaiting these retailers. You can't attract significant ad revenue without major investments in technology, sales teams, and measurement capabilities. And actually, you can't justify those investments without the revenue. Welcome to what I call the doom loop of retail media. Meanwhile, brands, the end users of these networks, are drowning in complexity. We've heard stats like this before, but just citing one of them from the ANA's July 2024 report about the biggest challenges that brands have with RMNs: lack of standardization across platforms. That's the top challenge, 57% of brands saying that. Another point, the walled garden problem, where each network operates its own isolated kingdom. 44% of brands agree with that being a top challenge. Various studies show that brands are meaningfully investing in only 5 to 7 retail media networks. And I'll tell you, coming from the agency side myself, supporting retail media network number 27 requires the same planning, buying, reporting work as the number 7, but for a fraction of the reach. The ROI math stops working pretty quickly. Sure, you're crushing it on Amazon and Walmart, but what about Kroger, Instacart, and the fast-growing regional grocers? Acosta Group builds holistic media plans on real shopper behavior across all the US retailers that your brand cares about. From digital shelf to retail media to data analytics, Acosta Group offers end-to-end connected commerce, all under one roof. Learn more at acosta.group and tell them Retail Media Breakfast Club sent you. That's ACOSTA.group. Now finally, we get to my rhetorical question. Are retail media federations a possible solution? And this is where history, to me, reading this book about Google's advertising business, history starts to rhyme. Just as ad networks and exchanges brought order to the fragmented display advertising market, retail media federations are emerging as the next logical step. Take, for example, Rippl, spelled Rippl, which was launched by Cardlytics. They've assembled what they call the leading national consortium of regional grocers and convenience stores, and they count among this consortium grocers like Wegmans, Giant Eagle, Schnucks, Lowe's Foods, Food City, Associated Food Stores, and more. Together, in that consortium, they're aggregating 140 million shopper profiles across 58,000 locations. Suddenly, these regional players can offer national scale to advertisers through a single platform. By pooling their audiences and standardizing their offerings, smaller retailers can compete for budgets that would otherwise flow exclusively to Amazon and Walmart. For brands, it means accessing diverse retail audiences without the operational nightmare of managing dozens of separate campaigns. I've been told of other alliances in formation that haven't yet been publicized as well. This movement seems to be building, and it should be. The current model where every retailer operates their own isolated platform, in my mind, is unsustainable. Brands don't have infinite bandwidth. Retailers can't build Amazon-level ad tech. Something has to give. The retail media industry is more dynamic than ever, but there are some cold truths to face. We can continue down the current path where Amazon and Walmart hoover up ever larger shares of spending, while hundreds of smaller networks fight over scraps. Or we can recognize what history has already taught us. Fragmented markets naturally consolidate through cooperation. But of course, building these alliances isn't as simple as shaking hands and sharing data. So in future episodes of the podcast, I will be peeling back the layers of what it really takes to make a federation work. So I'm planning for now a 4-part series. In part 2, we'll get into the mechanics of how does a retailer in Chicago share audience data with one in Miami without giving away competitive secrets? What happens when 6 grocers need to split advertising revenue from a campaign that run across all of their stores? So we'll look into real federations like Rippl to understand the tech infrastructure, governance models, and awkward compromises that make or break these partnerships. In part 3, I'm going to take us back to the history books and look at what types of alliances and federations have been made in the world of advertising history and look to see what kind of successes and failures follow predictable patterns that today's retailers would be wise to study. And then finally, part 4, looking ahead to the wildcards. What happens when AI agents start doing the shopping for consumers? How would Amazon respond if federations actually start gaining ground? We'll explore why AI might actually accelerate the need for alliances. There's an old saying that says, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. Amazon went fast and got there first. For everyone else, going far might mean going together.